Hello, and welcome to a live pop culture on Deprogrammed with Keri Smith and Mystery Chris. How are you doing, Mr. Chris?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I've done several interviews today, pre-recorded, and I didn't get to eat. So I have some snacks here. I'm going to mute myself and do something I swore I'd never do, which is eat on camera, just quietly.
I think some listeners might like that if you leave the mic
Ew.
on. Hey,
Why?
I'm just saying that people are into this. I mean, not me anymore, but some people like it.
They
I'm
like
just
what?
saying.
Watching
The
people eat?
AMSR stuff.
Oh, gross. Not eating sounds,
Yeah, that's the
though.
thing. Yeah. Any
That's not
sounds, basically. Any
really?
sounds. Yes.
Ew. What kind of freak wants to hear someone eating?
Certainly not me.
Is that is that something that you used to listen to?
No. Now feet squishing grapes. I mean, that's different. That's no.
Gross.
uh,
Oh, you
that was a
guys,
joke.
welcome to a live pop culture. If it's your first time here, this is a show that Mr. Chris and I do on Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock Central, and we pick different topics and kind of delve into them. And tonight's topic is, well, first of all, if you're a longtime viewer of the show and you like the kind of content we put out at Deprogrammed, you can support us at Patreon, Subscribestar, Locals, or here at YouTube. They have memberships. That's it. Also, quick announcement, April 15th, it's right around the corner. I'm going to be hosting Minds Fest in Austin at the Vulcan. And there's a whole lineup of interesting speakers, musicians, comedians. It's going to be an all-day thing. You can get tickets and info at minds.com. And I know I'm going to see some of you there. So that's going to be very exciting. So that's it. And Mystery Chris might come, although he just told me he does not like going to downtown Austin.
No, I don't like being surrounded by dangerous people and homeless and alcoholic and the rest.
You're not selling the show.
Well, I mean, it's fine in daytime, most of the places.
Yes. It's Austin is becoming a lot like LA and San Francisco,
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately.
sadly. But anyway, you guys will be fine. If you're not from Texas and you're visiting for the show, you're fine. I'm telling you. It'll be fine. It's just for those of us who've lived here for a while, it's kind of sad what's becoming of that whole area. So anyway, that's April 15th. What's tonight's topic, Mr. Chris?
Well, since Mario Brothers the movie came out today, I thought we should do a video game topic. And I thought, why not talk about the controversy of violence in video games and whether that violence is having an effect on the general violence we see in the population.
When did this first start becoming a big thing that people were pushing? This idea that like video games are too violent, they're leading to violence in culture.
1976. That's the first video I sent you, actually, which is a game called Death Race, and it was an arcade game, and it has the most basic graphics, of course, because it's from the 1970s. But this was probably, based on research, the first kind of moral panic around a video game and its effect on violence. And this video I sent you is just someone filming the screen, but this apparently has no relation to the Death Race movie that came out in the 70s, where people are running over other people in cars and getting points
I've
for
seen
it.
that movie. It's great.
Yeah, yeah. But this is essentially the same thing, so I think they ripped it off. But anyway, the controversy here, you can play this video and we can just talk over just a little bit of it. I just wanted to give people an idea of what it looked like. But you're in a car and you're driving over these not people, gremlins, according to the people who made this game. And when you run over them, as you see what he's about to do here, if you can get this guy, he's been jaywalking. Get him. See, they turn into a cross. And yes. And so this is basically all I want to share. But this generated a lot of controversy. A lot of arcades removed this game. A lot of politicians were commenting on it, saying that this was awful and this was a sign of degradation of society. And even people who made video games were commenting on this game, saying how bad it was for the game industry, and this is not the quality of games they want to be putting out. And so this is the very first one, and it would only grow from there. And the next one we'll talk about is, of course, Mortal Kombat, which is probably when it got really huge, the moral panic over video games, when Congress had hearings over this game.
This is amazing to see just how far gameplay has come from since 1976.
Yeah.
First of all, remember these? Have you ever been to Vegas?
Yes.
Have you been to the pinball museum?
I have not.
Oh my goodness, you would love it. You've got to go. We should go together. It's just a huge warehouse, and this guy has collected all of these old pinball machines, arcade games. He's even got some very early rudimentary kind of games from, I think, the 60s, the 50s. And it's you can play. He gets them all refurbished, and you can play all these. I mean, just rows and rows and rows of these old machines, antique machines.
Well, arcade centers are kind of coming back. I mean, obviously not as widespread as they once were, but a lot of cities have these facilities popping up where you can play arcade games and stuff. And so there's some interest in that. It's kind of a novel thing, but it's a thing that a lot of kids are seeking out and experiencing that game style that they haven't experienced, because now everyone has a console at home and just play that. So I think it's interesting how things kind of go in cycles a bit, or the nostalgia kind of comes back and gets introduced to a younger generation.
Nostalgia. Yeah, it's so funny when different generations will have nostalgia for a time period they never lived through. I mean, we did that. I did that. I have good feelings about the 20s, the 50s, a lot of different decades, and so yeah, you see young people doing that now with the 80s, the 70s.
Yeah. Well, that's what like when I was in high school, music sucked, and so I just listened to like all 80s music, and that kind of became the soundtrack to my high school years. And so when I hear 80s music, I think of my high school years, even though I didn't go to high school in the 80s.
Yep, that's what when I see I Love Lucy, I think of when I was a kid. We watched that. Okay, I've got your next clip queued up. So now we're skipping ahead to 1993.
This is Mortal Kombat. And did you ever play Mortal Kombat?
No, I played Street Fighter.
Oh, okay. You're a Street Fighter kid, I see. But Mortal Kombat, one of my favorite games from the 90s. And this is probably when the moral panic really got huge. A number of journalists and a lot of news organizations doing all these pieces talking about how terrible this was. And just go ahead and play it. It's really interesting.
I like this guy's haircut and mustache.
Don't trust this guy with that mustache.
Wait, hold on.
It's a little low, the volume.
A fantasy martial arts game that some parents think is just too violent for their kids. Carol Lynn joins us live now from Northridge with more on that story. Carol?
Here it is, Bob, behind me. It's called Mortal Kombat. We're going to talk to Aaron Brandis here about the game. Aaron, how does it work?
Well, basically, you pick a couple characters, you do maneuvers on the joysticks and buttons, you do moves, and
then what are you trying to get to?
I like how he's still playing.
Fatalities are just what happens if you're really brutal to your opponent.
Yeah, you're muted.
Sorry, I was eating. Yeah, he doesn't stop playing. He's just sort of annoyed, but answering her question.
So I'm trying to play a video game, bitch.
I'm about to get a high score.
You get an opponent, you can rip off his head or something like that.
Sounds like a pretty thrilling game, and this is the kind of violence that critics are pretty worried about. Cold-blooded murder is making Mortal Kombat the most popular video game in history. Kids relish their victory and their bloody choice. Should they pull out their opponent's heart? or simply rip his head off just to see his spinal cord dangle in a pool of blood. How do you feel about cutting his head off? Fun. After a $10 million advertising
Fun.
campaign, Mortal Kombat, viewing in home video today, is expected to sell 2 million copies at $50 a pop. A horrifying possibility for parents who can't believe the game makers are fantasizing about decapitation and murder.
I don't think they'll have this at home, no.
You don't think so?
A little bit
You
too
look
violent.
a little startled.
Yeah, it's a little too violent, I think.
That's pretty bad. And that's just plain gross.
Furthermore, advanced technology allows digitized video of real martial arts actors, making the action look real and not as cartoony. In fact, Mortal Kombat so shocked the managers at a nationwide arcade chain that they tried a sanitized version of the game. Instead of chopping the opponent's head off, he simply disappears. Sales dropped 40%.
They came up and said, what'd you do to the game? It's no fun anymore.
Kids are saying chill out to worried parents.
I think TV personally influences more than.
All right, you cut that out and we play the next one. But yeah, so
Parents wonder if kids
Sega Genesis kept the violence. Super Nintendo cut out the codes for where you can rip up someone's heart and do all that stuff. And sales for that particular version of the game dropped. And so similarly to what was happening with Rep, at the same time, we saw that more controversy was obviously leading to more sales, and it just kind of fed into itself and kind of created this industry now that we see where a lot of the games that have a lot of controversy around them are selling more copies or more
It's like
games
the
units than
Streisand
movies.
effect.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, we had the same thing in comedy. You know, one of the comedians I represented, we would put in the artwork for the stand-up comedy album, we would add a parental advisory sticker ourselves because that meant people would want to buy it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, this one's really got some stuff in it. So them trying to just cut it out, I completely understand why the kids were like, wait a minute, this isn't what I was promised. Like, where's the head ripping off? Okay. This is another news report,
This is
1994.
from ABC. Peter Jennings, who I liked him at the time. I don't know if I still like him now as an adult and went back to watch a lot of stuff, but
I don't know much about him now, but I know
No.
Dan Rather has become,
oh damn.
I mean, he's like another Stephen King on Twitter.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Christmas stocking. Video games have become a $4 billion a year business, and a great many children, as you parents know, have put them on their Christmas lists. As ABC's Bill Greenwood reports, there is a growing concern on Capitol Hill that parents who buy some of those games may not realize just how much violence they're getting.
One of the most vicious games is called Mortal Kombat. The objective is to finish off your opponent violently. Another method is decapitation. Critics, including the National PTA, say such video games contribute to violence in real life.
It's funny how now, knowing where we're at now, this just seems so pedestrian.
Yes.
Like,
In fact, I included, we'll watch it in a moment, but I included a video of Mortal Kombat now and all the fatalities, and there's no comparison whatsoever.
And television's Captain Kangaroo says parents are not paying enough attention.
Understand that these are not harmless toys.
Pissed
That,
off Captain
they
Kangaroo.
can indeed
wow.
Cause great emotional and other damage to a child.
Congress will be asked to establish a rating system to protect.
Where's Captain Kangaroo now? I wish he was still around. You know, talk about the drag queens shows for kids. Stuff. Like, he'd be like, parents, what are you doing? I had to come back from the dead to address this.
Oh.
Children from gruesome games.
We now require warning labels on toys that can potentially damage children's bodies. Why not do so on a toy that can damage their minds?
Barry Rhodes bought the game anyway, since it takes a special code to activate the violent scenes, which he says are a part of life.
It's there, so I'm not going to try to hide my daughter from that.
Even so, the giant
Also, it's important to note that was Joe Lieberman, right? That was talking,
Yeah.
a Democrat. This was sort of a bipartisan thing, right?
Yeah. There's a article later. I don't know if we'll pull it up. Maybe we'll not. But there was a video embedded in there of Hillary Clinton some years later calling for. She said it wasn't censorship, but essentially is when they were calling for some kind of official regulation of violent video games and preventing those violent video games from being sold to children.
Sega Corporation recently introduced a voluntary system to rate video games for use by a general audience, those over 13 and over 17. But there are lots of places where youngsters can play video games without such guidance or adult supervision. So next week, the U.S. Senate will conduct hearings on ways to supervise the video industry. Bill Greenwood, ABC News, Washington.
Okay. Sorry, I'm back. We've got a commercial here. Should I cue this one up?
Oh, yeah. This is for nostalgia's sake. I just threw in this Mortal Kombat commercial back in the 90s when commercials were extreme.
Extreme.
Prepare yourself for combat. Mortal Kombat action figures. Fight for right in your own tournament of champions. Liu Kang. Johnny Cage. Raiden. Sub-Zero. Reptile in the Dragon MK1. Kino on the Combat Cycle. Mortal Kombat. It's not just a game anymore. Mortal Kombat action figures. Combat Cycle comes with Kano. Dragon MK1 comes with...
That's what I loved about toys back then, where they had all these accessories that were never in the game or movies. There's like, I remember like there was a Superman toy, but he had like a car, like Superman had a car you could get into and drive around. I'm like, wait a minute.
Comes with Superman car.
Or they had like extra like Batman suits or like moonwalking Batman, underwater Batman. I'm like, wait a minute. This wasn't in the cartoon or the movies.
They're just trying to get you to buy more things.
Yeah.
I need all the things. I realized just then I did play Mortal Kombat. I must have played it in an arcade or something. I didn't play as much as Street Fighter, but I recognize that guy that goes, "Get over here."
Scorpion. And it's very quotable too, like this. Oh yeah, so this is the new Mortal Kombat. Or wait, no, this is part 1. Sorry, this is just a montage of fatalities from Mortal Kombat, the original. And I just wanted to show a little bit of this so we can contrast that with the fatalities from the newer Mortal Kombat games.
From the newer ones. Okay, so these are fatalities from the original.
Yeah, skip it.
Wow.
Johnny Cage.
Wow.
Fatality. Johnny Cage wins.
And of course, there are people back then, as there are now, that talking about violence towards women. Like, I always love that when you have feminist types that will complain about violence towards women in games or movies like this, but just completely ignore all the violence done to men in there.
Yeah.
Like, why not just oppose the violence in general? You're only opposing the violence towards one specific gender.
Because they view the world through that one lens, Wow, he just pulled out his heart.
He just did heart surgery on him.
Fatality.
Raiden was my favorite. Well, not there.
Wow.
But anyway, yeah, I just wanted to show a little bit of that.
Okay.
Make it the sense of
I'm gonna see
what is now really tame, and you're about to see how tame it is.
Still pretty, pulling off heads and blood shooting everywhere.
Ketchup blood.
No wonder parents were concerned, though.
That wasn't too bad.
It's not too, compared to what we were about to see. Okay, let's stop playing this. Now, what are we about to watch now? Set this one up.
So this is a montage of fatalities in the newer Mortal Kombat games, and graphics are so much more advanced. The violence is it's very creative. But some of these fatalities, it's wild.
Okay, guys, get ready. Ooh! Oh my gosh!
Flawless victory.
You weren't ready for that.
No, I wasn't ready for that. Wow!
Tanya wins.
Okay, just so I know, who's like the target audience for this game now? Who's like what age group is playing this game now?
It's probably good. I mean, it's probably like rated M. What is the rating? Like M17. I put a link to the ratings. I don't pay attention to them, but obviously young kids are gonna play this.
Obviously, young kids are probably playing this. Okay, I'm just a little shocked. No, I'm not that much of a prude. I mean, I watch a lot of true crime and stuff, but this is like
Pretty over the top.
It's so over the top. She jumped through his body.
So say it's pretty creative. You know, they're having fun and playing this.
Her. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Predator wins. Flawless victory. Predator wins. Flawless victory. Fatality. Jason wins.
Wow.
Fatality.
I didn't know they have all
look, there's 40 minutes of this. 40 minutes.
They have all these characters from other IPs. I didn't know they have Predator. They have Jason from Friday the 13th.
Yeah, I've seen like RoboCop and Terminator, and yeah, pretty crazy.
Are we getting in trouble for playing this on YouTube? Oh, this
It
violence.
was already on YouTube.
Okay, you're right.
Jason wins. Fatality.
I mean, it's pretty hardcore.
Tremor wins. Flawless victory.
That wasn't
Okay, you're right. There's 40 minutes of these gruesome murders. So I don't know. I'm having mixed feelings on this. I'm having mixed opinions on this. I don't know. I mean,
Explain.
well, I'm seeing it for the first time and how graphic it is. On the one hand, it's just a game, and I want to be able to play whatever I want. But if I had kids, would I want them playing this?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, not until at least, maybe 15.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make me too lax or not not strict enough or too strict? What? I don't know.
Well, I think all media we consume has some kind of effect on it. It's just how much of an effect and how does that manifest. And so I included some at the later in this episode. We'll go over some articles about some studies about violence in video games. Some that say that there is, some that say there's not. But I think that's interesting that there is some evidence for some people, but others say no. So,
what does the chat think? Some people are giving their opinions already.
Can you put a poll? Can we do a poll?
Yeah, let's do a poll. The Ward Room says 15 is the age for this. Davina says, but they would want to be playing it around the age 8. Yeah, probably. That's what other people. Brian, not for kids, but as a free market creation, I can support it exists and is allowed to. Yes. Therese, 15 is good if they're not playing it for hours. And then Davina says the desensitization is a bit worrying. Yeah, that's what I would be worried about.
Mhm.
I'm excited to get to some of the studies and stuff you're talking about to see if it actually like has an effect on people. It's just, yeah, I don't know. Thank you for showing me this.
You're welcome. Sleep tight.
I can't imagine. Do you think anybody sat here for 40 minutes and watched all of the
Of course.
murders?
And laugh their asses off. 'Cause violence is funny.
Let's skip ahead to one random. We're not going to watch 40
Okay.
minutes. Let's skip ahead to one random one and just see what we see. See where we're at. Okay. Wow.
That's
Okay.
teamwork. I like that.
Teamwork. Wow. Okay. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Simon says these games are marketed to children though, and that's the problem. And then the wardroom says collectively as a society we are already desensitized to this level of violence.
Mm. Well, that's like the way I felt like when I was watching The Walking Dead and some of the kill shots on zombies and stuff. I'd be thinking to myself, should I be watching this right now? Like, this seems a bit much. This can't be good for me.
Yeah. I don't know. I did read something that was saying, the average, I think it was like 8-year-old or 10-year-old, because of entertainment, because of video games, movies, television, all this technology that we didn't have 100 years ago, right? That the average child has seen so much more murder and death, at least on a
Mhm.
screen,
Yeah.
than people, men who've served in war have seen. And I was thinking about that, like, like, what does that do for your psyche? I don't know. Is it
Right.
fine?
Well, I mean, you've seen those videos of people, like there's some video of a guy who got, I think he was hit by a car, and people just like walking by while he was lying in the street. And it's like everybody was just so just zoned out and just acting like spectators, basically, like it was a movie or something, not helping. And I'm not saying that's typical, because I've seen a lot of times when somebody get hit or something happens and people will rush that person's aid, and that restores my faith in humanity whenever I see this in person. But I have seen a number of videos where people don't help people who've been attacked or mugged or
I've seen these on
hit by a car.
subways where
No.
everyone is shooting on their camera phone.
Yeah.
And I think it's great that somebody's getting it, because you might need that evidence later if you're the victim of a crime. Like, you might be glad somebody was getting it on camera, but when everybody's getting it on camera and nobody's doing anything to help, that's really, I don't know, that's
Yeah.
disappointing.
Well, that was like a few years ago. I think it was in Central Park, where there's, I don't know what was going on, but apparently there was like a mob of dudes and there were some women there. And I guess some moms started like grabbing at women's clothing and trying to rip stuff off. And everyone was like cheering on and taking pictures and stuff. It was really sick.
Yeah. This is a good point. Look at what Ryan says. Ryan Harger, thank you. Ryan says, to be fair, 8-year-olds used to go with their parents hunting and actually kill deer and such.
Do you think it
good
has
point.
a different effect on, say, seeing humans, even though I know it's not real, but
Right, but
the
human
representation of
figures.
humans, yeah, versus animals?
I don't know. I think it might. I think that's why if I were a parent, hopefully I will be a parent, then that's something I might be like, nah, you can go with your dad and kill a deer, but we're not going to play a game where you're ripping the spinal cord out of a human being until you're at least 15.
But what if that inspires him to become a spinal surgeon?
Oh, come on. You're reaching.
Hey, you never know.
Adam Worrell says, I'm ready for the woke apocalypse. I watched The Evil Dead on VHS when I was about 6 years old. Oh, I
That was
love
a
that
violent
movie.
movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a violent movie. Great
And
movie,
the new
though.
ones too. The new ones are a lot of blood. If you could bring up the next one, it's the Mortal Kombat murders. It's an article, and I just want to go over part of it. If you scroll down to, let's see what section it was.
Barrett, let me just read the title for anyone who wants to find this. This is on Game Rant, and the title is The Biggest Controversies in Mortal Kombat History. So where am I going?
So if you scroll down to the section, I'll know it when I see it. Keep on going. Okay, is it this one? Okay, yeah, this one. So this section, and this section's about real world violence that people are blaming on Mortal Kombat.
Oh, right. Okay. I remember them talking about the game Doom and Columbine. I remember
Yeah.
that. Okay. It didn't take long for Mortal Kombat to return to the courtroom, this time being used as a reason behind the Columbine high school shooting in 1999. Following the devastating event, U.S. President Bill Clinton made a statement condemning violence in video games using Mortal Kombat, Doom, and Killer Instinct as named examples, and expressing that these titles, quote, make our children more active participants in simulated violence, end quote. In a now infamous court case, Jack Thompson, a Christian conservative attorney, attempted to sue Midway Games and id Software on behalf of the parents of the Columbine victims. Though the case was unsuccessful, that didn't stop Mortal Kombat from being used as the cause of a slew of other real-world shootings over the next 2 decades. 1999 saw Brazil banning Mortal Kombat after a 24-year-old medical student participated in a shooting at the Morumbi Shopping Center. 2007 saw Patrick Morris killing the 15-year-old Diego Aguilar in Oregon, with his defense team using Mortal Kombat as a reason behind Morris's heinous actions, saying it clouded his ability to understand consequences. Oh, I know this case. The guy who killed the 15-year-old, the video gamer. Okay. In a particularly horrific but infamous 2008 case, 2 teenagers were convicted after murdering a 7-year-old, Zoe Garcia. The killers said that they were only acting out the moves from Mortal Kombat. Despite the victim's parents stating that they didn't believe the video game had anything to do with the killing, Mortal Kombat was once again the subject of widespread criticism.
And that's all I wanted to read from this article. But yeah, as we can see, there's been a lot that's been blamed on this. And again, I have no doubt that video games have had an influence, because it's kind of like rap. You know, we did a whole episode on commercialization of hip hop, and I was talking about how a lot of people, when start blaming gangster rap on, or blaming the violence and happening in black areas on gangster rap. And I don't think it was the sole cause, but I do think it had an effect, obviously, on perceptions and the values that many of the people living in these areas had.
Mhm.
And you saw that, come out through the violence and stuff. And especially, I think it's had an effect on sexuality. I definitely think that media in general has a larger influence regarding sexual morality and, sex in general. And I think that can lead to people who are products of bad homes or bad upbringings, and that, I think, my personal opinion, that makes them more susceptible to more violent materials. Because obviously a lot of people who've played these games or watched violent movies, TV, don't feel the need to go out and murder someone. But I do think there are a number of people who are in a bad place, and these type of things do have a disproportionate effect on them compared to the general populace.
You're making me think of an exchange I had on Twitter this week. Let's take it. We're talking about video games, but let's talk about the Bible for a second. Because you could make this argument for the Bible. There was a guy arguing with me. I guess he was some atheist I was posting something about I had just posted about my pastor's recent sermon, and this guy started saying, the Bible instructs, Jesus told people to cut off their feet and hands. And I was like, dude, that's metaphorical language. You do know what a metaphor is, right? So I think the verse is, if your foot causes you to sin against God, or if your hand causes you to sin against God, to cut it off. It's a metaphor. And I was trying to explain to him, it's like, I just said my preacher was on fire today. It didn't mean he was actually on fire. It's a metaphor. It's like saying, he is a lion. It's a metaphor. It's different than a simile, which is he is like a lion. And poets know what metaphors are. School kids used to know what metaphors were back when we were teaching those kind of things, instead of that, men can have periods. But it's metaphorical language. And he said, this guy, his response was, well, the guy who killed John Wilkes Booth, which I forget his name, Corbett, I think he said that guy had castrated himself or cut off a body part or something because of a Bible verse. And I'm like, okay, but you can't expect the human race, you can't expect humanity to abandon metaphor and poetry and metaphorical language because some mentally disturbed person will read it and not understand it or get the wrong idea. And so I'm thinking about that, because you could say the same thing about these games. It's like, they were trying to blame the Columbine shooting on Doom or Mortal Kombat. Why you can't expect humanity to give up different types of entertainment they might enjoy because a mentally disturbed person sees that and has, it causes them to imagine doing something crazy, or because they don't understand it, or they already have a mental issue. And then this might be some sort of trigger for them, the same way this guy was arguing that the Bible was a trigger for someone.
Well, it's the same thing what's going on with guns, and people trying to say that, because people who are breaking psychologically, going out and shooting people, that people who are law-abiding citizens shouldn't be able to own firearms. And it's like, what? But why are you blaming the actions of someone who's breaking law on people who are obeying the law? Like, there's no, that's not logical. Like, by that logic, the government shouldn't have any weapons whatsoever, because every administration, in my opinion, commits some war crime of some sort. But even if they didn't, by that same logic, no government, no matter who's in charge, shouldn't have any weapons available to them, because the actions of previous administrations, like the Bush administration or LBJ in Vietnam, so on.
They want to restrict the rights of everyone and the freedoms of everyone because of the actions of a few, Okay. Well, that's an interesting thought. Like, what is this video?
We're just going to play about 50 seconds. So this is the ESRB system. It's the entertainment rating system, and I wrote down what it specifically was: Entertainment Software Rating Board. So Congress, in response to the outcry regarding Mortal Kombat and another game we'll talk about in a second, decided to have a little congressional meeting where they brought in some game makers and threatened to censor them and to regulate them. And so the game makers decided to form a body that would come up with ratings for their individual games. And this was done as in their hopes that the government would
self-regulation.
Yes, the same thing we saw with movies. We did that episode where we were talking about the movie rating system, and a lot of movies studios did the same thing. And so I believe, if I remember correctly, like when it comes to movies, theater owners could sell tickets. If I remember right, they could sell a ticket to a rated R movie to a child, but according to the rating system, we're not supposed to. And obviously nobody wants the controversy over selling tickets to minors without adult accompanying them. And so the game system was kind of similar to this. And so this is the beginning. And so we're just going to play about 50 seconds of this, and then we'll bring up another leak.
On Capitol Hill, the focus was on video games, amid complaints that some of them promote the very thing that most people are trying to prevent. Video game manufacturers today issued something of a preemptive strike aimed at keeping violent and sexual images away from kids. NBC's John Cochran now.
The makers of some video games promote them as a way that guys can show how tough they are. But today, the game makers themselves blinked. Under pressure from an angry Congress and angrier parents, game makers offered a new rating system. GA for general audiences, all ages. MA13, okay for teens, but not younger kids. And MA17 for 17-year-olds and older. The timing of the peace offering was no accident. Just an hour later, the Senate began hearings on new legislation to prevent violent games from reaching kids.
Pause that,
Senators.
Okay.
All right. So that was the beginning. And if you pull up that next link, this goes to the webpage for this board. And this has the refined rating system. So this rating system started in 1994. And there's several of them. As you can see.
Does anybody even pay attention to these?
No, it's the same thing with records. No.
Yeah.
It's just...
It's probably like they want to get the violent ones, just like with records, like the
Yeah.
advisory. They want to get it because then the kids will want to buy it, you know?
Just call it EG, extra good.
Okay, let's put this on the screen. Oh, I did want to say hi to Brett. Brett Euman says, hi, Keri. Last time I was in the chat, you had on my sweet friends at Force Light Entertainment. I love those ladies. Welcome back. Oh, also, there was a funny comment from the Drifter. Do you think Pac-Man made people fat? Well, maybe the politicians think that. I don't know. I know.
Stop eating donut holes.
Okay. So this is the ratings guide. This is the self-governing. The video game industry came up with this, sort of like the motion picture industry did, to attempt to prevent the government from regulating the games. So scrolling down. Oh, yeah, I've seen this.
Yeah, so you flip it. Yeah.
So everyone, E for everyone, content is generally suitable for all ages, may contain minimal cartoon fantasy or mild violence and or infrequent use of mild language. And probably gay and trans drag queen characters for children.
They need an LGBT
Everyone needs
rating.
that. Yeah.
Extra
Everyone
gay.
10 plus. Content is generally suitable for ages 10 and up. May contain more cartoon, fantasy, or mild violence, mild language, and or minimal suggestive themes. Teen. Content is generally suitable for ages 13 and up. May contain violent, suggestive themes, crude humor, minimal blood, simulated gambling, and or infrequent use of strong language. And then you have mature, 17 plus. Content is generally suitable for ages 17 and up. May contain intense, does that say intense violence, blood and gore, sexual content, and or strong language.
There's more. You hit that arrow. But wait, there's more.
Oh, there's more. It's like it is like LGBT. It keeps going. Hey, adults only, 18 and up. This is funny. What a big difference 1 year makes. They have this is 17 and up, 18 and up. Okay. Content suitable only for adults ages 18 and up may include prolonged scenes of intense violence, graphic sexual content, and or gambling with real currency. Okay. Rating pending, not yet assigned a final rating. And this is another rating pending, but it's likely going to be a mature 17 and up. Okay.
So yeah, that's all I wanted to read from there. But I didn't do any research what games currently are M17 or up. How many compared to?
Probably all. Let's go with all.
Let's go with D, all, Alex.
Right. So just so I understand, when you're at a store, so much like with movies where the movie theater is disinclined to sell you a ticket, if an R-rated movie for a kid, is it on up to the stores to enforce this? Is it just if a kid comes in and tries and they're under 18 and they're trying to buy the 18 and up, do they get carded?
I believe it's up to the store. I don't think there's any kind of mechanism in which they get reported or anything. I know that when game makers have to submit their games to this ratings board, if they misrepresent what's in the game, like if they submit a game that is not violent, but then release a version of the game that is violent, then they could get fined up to like I think I said $1 billion. I forget, but it was like probably not $1 billion. It's probably too much. But I remember seeing some exorbitant number that they could get fined for, and I don't know if that's ever happened. I don't know if they'd ever enforce that because again, it's just kind of self-regulating amongst the industry, so you never know what's going on behind the scenes. But
Errol says it's mostly information for parents, so to help them choose what they can buy. I don't know. Okay. What's this next clip?
so this is from a game called Night Trap. This was a controversy over a game nobody played because it sucked. This is for Sega CD, and it came out in 1992. And this was part of the congressional hearing they had on video games. And so if we just watch a little bit of this and see it, maybe I'm going to look at my
Wait,
notes.
so this game was kind of a flop. No one played it, and yet there was this whole congressional hearing about it.
Yes, because of they thought it was too violent. There was a lot. They thought there was too much violence towards women in it, and so there's particularly one scene that made people uncomfortable. So, in fact, if you go to the 4-minute mark, I think that's what I have.
That's what start at 4 minutes. Okay.
Yes.
I saw Mr. Lieberman's in this too. Tebow Talk. Hello. He says, I just got here, but you better not be up in here blaming video games for school shootings. No, we did not, but we did read some of a lot of the blaming that was happening in the 90s, specifically about Columbine and a few other murders that they were blaming on Mortal Kombat and Doom, but mostly Mortal Kombat. Okay. I'm going to skip ahead to 4 minutes. Is this the game?
Yeah.
This is the game.
Megan, this isn't gonna work. You're not hearing me. Wait. What are you doing? No! Megan, no! No!
So pause it right there.
Okay.
What do you think's going on? Like knowing nothing about the game, what would you?
I don't know anything about this game, and it looks like a player's not doing anything. Is this like a cutscene?
Well, this was like the first game that introduced live action footage with actual gameplay, and so this is one of the scenes.
What's going on? Brett says bad acting. I think what's going on, or they're kidnapping this lady and maybe injecting her with something. Why? What's happening?
So they're these vampire type creatures that are taking her blood. So this game is basically some teens go missing, and their last location was in this mansion, and the people who own the mansion are not cooperating with police. And so police tap into the camera systems that these people had in their mansion, and they find that there are creatures that are stealing the blood of teenage girls that go to this house. And so you, as the user, have to set these traps, and you got to capture these vampire creatures before they drain all the blood from these young teenage girls.
From these young teenage girls. Okay.
Total B-movie schlock.
When you asked what's happening in this scene, Robert Lowry said being vexed against her will.
Yeah.
Peter Lim said and Therese said the early years, you're all winners.
Brought to you by Pfizer.
Yeah. Okay.
But
this game was not a commercial success, but it ended up, they're talking about it in Congress. Should I hit play and see what they're saying?
Play, because we'll play for a little bit and you'll hear one of the senators speaking.
Let's see that. That's what it is.
All right, let's continue. We'd like to thank you all for being here today. In order that we can move the hearing on. Second, let me say that I share Senator Lieberman's outrage at the excerpts that we will be viewing on the TV. Mortal Kombat and Night Trap are not the kind of gifts that responsible parents give. Night Trap, which adds a new dimension of violence.
By the way, you know this game, since it wasn't doing well, the Sega game Night Trap, they were elated to be mentioned in this controversy along with Mortal Kombat, which was so popular, right?
Yeah, they sold like I think an extra 50,000 copies the week this
The week this
Congress
happened?
hearings. Yeah.
Amazing.
Specifically targeted against women is especially repugnant. It ought to be taken off the market entirely, or at the very least, its most objectionable scenes should be removed.
It has been quite a leap from Pac-Man to Night Trap. About 2 months ago, I saw the video game Night Trap for the first time. It is a sick, disgusting video game, in my judgment. It's an effort to trap and kill women. Shame on people that produce that trash. It's child abuse, in my judgment. And I know there'll be people who say, well, we sit up here as the thought police.
It's kind of amazing that these are Democrats all saying that this should be banned. And just look at where we're at today when it's like, they're like, no, a drag queen can totally wave their junk in your kid's face. That's fine. It's amazing.
Conservatives on Facebook and Twitter should be banned.
Right.
Trying to suggest what people can see or do. It's not my intention. We have some basic responsibility in this country to protect children.
Dr. Provenzo?
I think there are a couple of things. One is that a lot of people in the industry say that these things simply reflect what's in the culture. I think that by manufacturing games like Night Trap, what in point of fact these manufacturers are doing are endorsing that violence. I think that's really objectionable.
And a woman since the day I was born. And let me tell you, on all my labels and all the hats I wear, I find that so extremely offensive, and the only word you can say to the manufacturers and the shareholders of the company is shame on you.
All right.
And
That's all
I
right.
think that they really should stop and think about what they're doing.
Okay. One of my favorite things about doing this show with you, Mr. Chris, is watching old news footage.
It's fascinating.
Yes.
Like looking at these things in context. It's just very revealing of where attitudes and values were at the time.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. What do we have up next?
So we are moving to Grand Theft Auto. So this is probably maybe the last time these Grand Theft Auto games were definitely the biggest moral panic over video games today.
Bigger than even Mortal Kombat. Yes.
Yeah.
This is the one I hear about all the time, people having problems with. Okay. Do you know when this one's from? What year?
This was about Grand Theft Auto 5. I'm not good with the years of 5, but this was probably over a decade ago.
Okay.
Never has there been an opening like this in the entertainment industry. This week, Grand Theft Auto 5 pulled in $1 billion in sales in 3 days. No movie or music release has ever come close to that. And as with earlier versions of the game, it is extremely violent. Here's Elaine Quijano.
Grand Theft Auto 5 allows video game players to assume the role of gangsters, committing almost any crime imaginable. Bank robberies, car thefts, often murder. College freshman Daniel Bell started playing 4 years ago.
You're never going to really be a criminal. So like when you're all these characters who are just
insane criminals who rob banks and steal cars. It's just like a fun experience, and it gives you a rush.
I'm here for Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah.
On Tuesday, fans around the world lined up for the chance to be among the first to plop down $60 for the game, which did $800 million in worldwide sales its first day.
Let's go. First one.
Today, there were no signs momentum was slowing at the Manhattan GameStop where we ran into Teresa Rotundo. She bought the game for her 13 and 17-year-old sons.
I want them to know that I don't like it, but I guess I do let them play because all their friends are playing.
Naomi Barnett bought it for herself. She's not.
I think you're muted, Keri.
I just think that's bad parent. Like, I'm not taking a position on whether or not she should let her kids play it. Other than that, she doesn't like it, and she says the only reason she lets them play it is because their friends are. Well, do you parent like that in other ways? Like, I know I shouldn't let you have a liter of soda and 2 pies for dinner, but all your friends are doing it, so you're right. Go ahead. Like that's just, I don't know. I hope she's not telling them that, like, when she's letting them play. Well, you're okay. All your friends are playing, so I don't know.
If a child can pick his or her gender, they can choose to play violent
Right.
video games. on their own.
It's just again, I'm not making a judgment on whether or not a kid is old enough to play this game at 13 and 17. I'm just saying her reasoning for letting them is kind of weird. Like, oh, well, but all their friends are doing it. Marshall, hey Marshall, he says, I played GTA games and still haven't killed a prostitute after banging her in my car. But you did bang her in your car. I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. Stolen a helicopter before crashing it into a lake while I parachuted out and were shooting an RPG. That's true. I've actually played this game. I'll say I had a lot of fun playing Grand Theft Auto. So
I've never actually played it.
it's pretty fun. I haven't played it a lot, but I played it with a friend, and yeah. Okay, let's continue.
Not put off by the game's depiction of women, often as prostitutes or strippers.
I think it's just a game to have fun with, just to play, and that's it. For me, at least, it is.
Grand Theft Auto 5 has made twice as much as the last Harry Potter movie did in its opening weekend.
Wow.
That film holds the record for the best box office opening ever.
Yes! Woo!
But critics have complained about the violence, including a torture scene. Game features not one. Officials with Take-Two Interactive Software, the company behind the video game, declined to comment on criticisms of it. Scott, sales could jump even higher if the company releases a version for new play consoles coming out in November.
Elaine, thanks.
So what's interesting about Grand Theft Auto series is that the very first Grand Theft Auto came out in 1997, and that controversy around it was manufactured by the makers of the game. They hired a marketing guru to create a bunch of buzz about the violence in the game and get a lot of people worked up over it, and it worked. And we just seen it continue to grow and grow with like each release, really.
That's amazing. It's like they learn from all the stuff we're talking about, like in music or comedy or games, where once the government starts talking about banning it, then the industry does their self-regulation and come up with the system of labels and stuff. Then it becomes coveted to have the parental advisory sticker or the, rated M for mature, because then more people are going to want to get it. And now they're just creating like, oh, isn't this terrible? That's so sneaky. Probably
now
hired
you're playing the game.
Yeah, now you're playing the real game. I see what you did there. They probably hired people then to write articles about how terrible this game was. Oh my goodness. So sneaky.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I put in another clip. So this is about the political reaction to it. And again, people blaming not just murders, but increase in carjackings on this as well.
Oh, really? Carjackings? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see.
In just the last few days, 3 teens have been arrested for carjackings in Chicago. People have been saying for months now that teens are running around the city and carjacking people like it's a video game.
But now local lawmakers are doubling down on that idea, saying that video game should be banned.
Tia Ewing has more.
The carjacking suspects aren't even old enough to drive.
To survive, they have to set up and pull off a series of increasingly audacious heists.
Philanthropist Early Walker says violent video games like Grand Theft Auto could be influencing their young minds.
There are instances in the game where an individual pulls up to a car, bumps the car, taps the car, gets out, pulls the individual out of the car, carjacks the car, pulls off.
Walker met with Illinois State Representative Marcus Evans in January, and from there, legislation was drafted to amend a 2012 law preventing some games, including Grand Theft Auto, from being sold to children in Illinois.
House Bill 3531, which will ban these video games and send a message.
Different versions of Grand Theft Auto have been banned or censored in 5 different countries, but never in the United States.
That'll clearly work as well as banning guns, won't it?
I was just gonna say, and this is Chicago, and Robert Laurie has a great point. Chicago didn't need a video game for that.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna shoot that dude, but then I played Grand Theft Auto and I said,
Right.
shoot that guy.
It's Chicago. Dalu has a great advice for people: drive a manual, then they can't take them. That's true. Most people can't drive a stick.
That would be hilarious. Trying to see them get away. Like, hey, can you help me?
Right. Okay, so they want to ban in Chicago. They want to ban. There's so much wrong with this city, and I just feel like they're just
It's
not
lost.
attacking the right things with proposed legislation. So, should I finish watching this? Or
Yeah.
Okay, let's watch.
In his own driveway in the south suburbs. The car was later found in Harvey with the young suspect still in it.
They don't care. They feel they're gonna get right back out, especially juveniles.
An expert told us the game can be the cause of violence, but it isn't the only factor.
Should it be banned? I think so. However, there's probably lots of reasons for theft and lots of reasons for violence.
Tia Ewing, Fox 32 News.
Now,
Just imagine what the sales would be like if that ban went into effect.
That ban would be so good for them. They're probably doing everything they can to get it banned. Do you know?
Oh, black market of people.
There'd be a
trading.
black market of Grand Theft Auto. Totally.
Every carjacking comes with a copy of Grand Theft Auto.
Right? Oh my goodness. Okay. So what is this 60 minutes?
So this is 60 minutes, and this is really dark. But this is about a this is well-known violent thing that was blamed on Grand Theft Auto. So this, I believe he's like 18-year-old man named Devin Moore, and I think it was 2004. He was being booked on suspicions of stealing a car, and as the cop was bringing him into the jail, he grabbed the cop's gun, shot the cop twice, shot another cop dead, and then shot a 911 dispatcher dead, and then stole a cop car. And if you skip to, I forget, I don't think I put the time code in here, but if you skip a little ahead in the video, you can get this 60 Minutes correspondent talking about it. I think it's a little further in the, but yeah.
Like right about here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's just play a little of this.
Alabama. They were gunned down by 18-year-old Devin Moore, who had played Grand Theft Auto day and night for months. Attorney Jack Thompson, a longtime crusader against video game
This is the
violence,
same guy
is
we were
bringing
talking
the
about
suit.
earlier. Jack
Are you
Thompson.
saying that Devin Moore shot?
Wait, this is the same guy from earlier?
Yeah, in the article. So, and this guy's very controversial. Some people saying he was scamming and a shyster because he got disbarred for some other shady lawyer stuff. But a lot of the claims of violent acts in society being caused by video games were coming from him.
Wow. Okay. Was he hired by the video game company?
Conspiracy.
3 people in the head because of a video game?
What we're saying is that Devin Moore was, in effect, trained to do what he did. He was given a murder simulator. He bought it as a minor. He played it hundreds of hours, which is primarily a cop killing game. It's our theory, which we think we can prove to a jury in Alabama, that but for the video game training, he would not have done what he did.
Moore's victims were Ace Mueller, a 911 dispatcher, James Crump, a police officer, and Arnold Strickland, another officer who was on patrol in the early morning hours of June 7, 2003, when he brought in Devin Moore on suspicion of stealing a car. Moore had no criminal history and was cooperative as Strickland booked him inside the Fayette police station. Then suddenly, inexplicably, Moore snapped. This is where it happened. According to Devin Moore's own statement, he lunged at Officer Arnold Strickland, grabbing his .40 caliber Glock automatic, and shot Strickland twice, once in the head. Officer James Crump heard the shots and came running. Moore met him about here in the hallway and fired 3 shots into Crump. One of those shots was in the head. He kept walking down the hallway towards the door of the emergency dispatcher. Once here, he turned and fired 5 shots into Ace Mueller. Again, one of those shots was in the head. Along the way, Moore had grabbed a set of car keys. He went out the door to the parking lot, jumped into a police cruiser, and took off. It all took less than a minute, and 3 men were dead.
The video game industry gave him a cranial menu that popped up in the blink of an eye in that police station, and that menu offered him the split-second decision to kill the officers, shoot them in the head, flee in a police car, just as the game itself trained him to do.
Again, it's like what I was saying about the Bible, and the metaphorical verses about cutting off your hand if your hand causes you to sin. It's one person, or a very small fraction of a percent of people who I think are already mentally disturbed or something, who then could this game, playing it nonstop for weeks or whatever, have affected him? Yes. Does it affect most people? No. So I don't think the solution here is, one, as an outcome of his murder trial, I don't think the solution is to say that he's not culpable because he was influenced by a video game. He's responsible for what he did. And 2, I don't think it's right to say, well, we're going to get rid of this game and nobody can play this because of what a mentally disturbed individual did.
Right. Yeah. Like I was saying earlier, I think it affects people differently. And
Yeah.
people who already have issues for some other reason, I think it's going to have an effect on them differently.
But
than
if
people
you're
who
a
are more
parent and
well-adjusted.
you're watching this and it's like you've got a 17-year-old or someone who still lives with you and under your roof and they're playing games this much, like constantly for weeks, maybe stop them. Because there's probably other problems there too if they're playing it that much.
Mhm. And real quickly, if you wanted to pull up the article after there, I just want to go down to the video and just play a smidge of Hillary Clinton. I know, but just a little bit of Hillary Clinton and what she said about video games back when she was serving in Congress.
Wait, so I'm not pulling up the Grand Theft Auto's greatest controversy?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's
Okay.
the article.
That's the article? Okay, let me
yeah.
put that on.
Let me see.
What? What about Hillary? I'm with her. I'm just kidding.
I hope she runs. That'd be hilarious.
Oh, gosh.
That would be so funny.
I'm with her.
So if you scroll down, the video is embedded in the article, and you'll know it when you get there.
For anybody that wants to find this on their own, this is an article on PC Gamer called Grand Theft Auto's Greatest Controversies. And we're going to scroll down to this video. Is it this one? No.
Yeah. By the way, and real quick, it did get banned in Australia. I think it was Grand Theft Auto 3, maybe 4, but shocking, Australia banned a video game. Oh. Not this one. If you keep going.
This one, Hillary Clinton
Yes.
on video
Yes.
games and censorship.
I'm here today as a parent and a senator, and along with my colleagues and so many of the advocates from around the country, we are determined to stop a situation in which video games with pornography.
Let me just stop for a second. Just again, I hate to beat a dead horse, but she's standing there at a podium that says helping parents protect kids. Where is she today? Helping parents protect kids from the sexually explicit material in their public school libraries, from these drag shows, like from gender, the cult of gender ideology that's telling
Help,
them
help
what?
protecting them from Bill.
Ah, you were trying to get your joke in there, and I was just ranting. It's just crazy to see her. I don't know, to see her talking about helping parents protecting kids. Okay, Hillary, let's hear. What are we protecting them from?
Stop a situation in which video games with pornographic and violent content are being peddled to our children. Today, I'm announcing, along with my colleagues, Senator Lieberman and Bai, the Family Entertainment Protection Act. This bill will prohibit the sale of violent and sexually explicit video games to minors and will give parents the tools they need to make informed decisions. Now, as the holiday season is upon us, this is a particularly important time to raise awareness of this issue. Video games are hot holiday items, and I understand that. They are certainly entertaining and even educational in many.
There's got to be a joke about Bill and a hot holiday item. I just can't think of it.
Instances. They can help our children learn. They can increase hand and eye coordination. But it is also clear that there are games that are just not appropriate for children. And busy parents are looking for some guidance all the time, but especially during this hectic holiday season. Now, as you can see from the posters that we have displayed here, many games contain content that is deeply disturbing. It's almost routine in popular games for players to spray other people with Uzis, to drive over pedestrians, to kill police officers.
I think she's admitting
to
something.
attack women. And
right?
in some cases,
Only I can do that.
even to engage in cannibalism. Players commit gruesome acts like these using top-of-the-line graphics in stunningly realistic detail. Now, it is up to adults whether they wish to expose themselves to this type of violence and pornography. But we have 40 years of research to tell us that violent media is bad for our children.
Okay, I really want to cut this up with some stuff that's happening today, because she just said it's up to an adult to decide if they want to play this video game, but this is bad for kids. Okay, thank you. You just said exactly what apparently you have trouble hearing about drag queens and trans ideology. They want to do this Mott and Bailey where they pretend like that we're all against drag. Or I used to run drag shows. I used to produce them. We're not against drag for adults. We're not against people deciding what kind of surgery they want to have as an adult. We're against pushing this stuff on kids. The exact argument she just made about video games.
But sex is fine to them. Sex stuff. It's just the violence that they have a problem. It's like sex being targeted towards children. That's okay.
You're probably right. She did just mention running over pedestrians and shooting an Uzi. She didn't talk about the sex, really. I mean, she kind of mentioned it, but not to the same degree. Okay, let's continue.
According to the most comprehensive statistical analysis yet conducted, violent video games increase aggressive behavior as much as lead exposure decreases children's IQ scores. And I want people to think about that. Everybody knows lead poisoning is bad for children. Oh, I want everybody to know that exposure to violent video games is also bad for children. There was testimony before the Senate Commerce Committee in 2000 that playing video games, violent video games, accounts for a 13 to 22% increase in teenagers' violent behavior. Yet we know that such games are easily accessible. A recent study by the National Institute on Media.
Oh my goodness, look at this comment. How do we know, Ryan, thank you. How do we know those were women victims in the video games, Hillary? We didn't ask them how they identified. Good point.
And the family found that children between the ages of 9 and 14 were able to purchase M-rated video games nearly 50% of the time. Furthermore, nearly a quarter of retailers didn't even understand the ratings they were supposed to enforce. And only half of the stores surveyed trained employees in the use of the ratings. Well, we need to do better. And that's why we're introducing the Family Entertainment Protection Act. And let me be very, very clear. This legislation is not about government censorship or regulation
It's
of content.
not?
This regulation is not about regulating the gaming industry.
It's called Family Entertainment Protection Act. We just want you to know, even though it's a law, it's not about the government protecting your family from entertainment. But it's named that. Let's continue.
Protecting children and empowering parents. We need to treat violent video games the way we treat tobacco, alcohol, and pornography. We know that these products are damaging to children, and we need to give parents the tools to keep them out of kids' hands. If you put it just really simply, these violent video games are stealing the innocence of our children.
What?
And it is certainly making the job of being a parent even more difficult. So the time has come to put on the brakes and to just insist that parents know what material is in the video games their children play, and to pass laws with real teeth that will send a clear message that we really do mean business. I'm pleased now to introduce Norman Rosenberg, who is the president and CEO of Parents Action for Children, a nonpartisan network of parents founded by the actor and director Rob Reiner. Parents Action for Children mobilizes parents to stand up.
Rob Reiner, Parents Action for Children, paging Rob Reiner. Where are you in 2023? There's an outright war on children's innocence. What did she say? Stealing the innocence of our children. Where are you, Rob Reiner?
Eating?
For policies that put children and families first. And Mr. Rosenberg has certainly done that in his 30 years of advocacy on behalf of children's welfare. He first came to Washington in 1977 when he fought for the rights of children with disabilities. He's a native New Yorker and brought up in New York City, graduate of the State University of New York at Buffalo, and a former professor in SUNY Buffalo's School of Law, where he taught family law and juvenile justice. And finally, what may make him even more qualified to be here today is he is the father of twin boys. Just
All right,
like
no one cares
Senator
about that. You
Biden.
can shut it off.
Okay. Surly Unicorn. This is like a serial killer lecturing me about the evils of murder. That's kind of incredible. I'm having another moment, Mystery Chris, like when you show me that clip of Michael Moore talking about rigged elections and a fake president and going to war for no reason. And I'm like, wait, what year is this?
Yeah. I mean,
When did he
there's so
say
many.
that?
There's
Yeah.
so many things. It's like I remember seeing a video of Chuck Schumer in like 2010, like chastising his fellow Democrats that were using the term illegal immigrant instead of like illegal alien, or they're using like undocumented or whatever the language is. And he's like, no, these people are illegal and we're going to call them that. And I was like, what happened to that, Chuck Schumer?
Yeah. It's just, I just want to go watch all these old news clips now.
Yeah.
So we're about to get to, I think, maybe the meat of the show,
Yeah.
or some of the conclusions of the show. So she mentioned all the studies.
pull up the second link first.
Okay.
And so this is from the, I believe it's called the American Psychological Association. This is the largest association of psychologists. And the studies they did have found that there is a link. And so we'll talk about that. Then there's an article that criticizes that. And then they have kind of a sort of rebuttal to that. But
Just a
I don't know. I
caveat.
don't know any of the stuff. So I'm like, I'll just put in, both sides and we'll see.
So I'll give a caveat. American Psychological Association. This article is from 2003, October 2003. And I don't know what the APA was like back then, but I will say the APA today is a woke crackpot organization.
Oh, they've been captured.
Absolutely captured. The APA today, they are doing Orwellian language changes. They are doing things like instead of saying your preferred gender, you say your experienced gender. You see the slight change there, what the difference is, as if it's a fact that this is your gender because it's experienced, that it's not a preference. They're doing things like saying, giving therapists lessons on how to talk to their male patients about toxic masculinity. I mean, they've been thoroughly captured. So, but this was 20 years ago. So I don't know. This was 2003.
I apologize. Can you pull up that first article?
Okay.
Put it in the wrong order. But yeah, this first one is an article. It's pretty short. But I think it has a good summary of what their findings are.
This is the one also from the APA called Violent Video Games Can Increase Aggression, right?
Yes.
Okay. So this is from 3 years prior. This is from the year 2000. Should I read this?
Yes, please.
Violent video games can increase aggression, may be more harmful than violent television and movies because of the interactive nature of the games. Playing violent video games like Doom, Wolfenstein 3D, or Mortal Kombat can increase a person's aggressive thoughts, feelings, and behavior both in laboratory settings and in actual life, according to 2 studies appearing in the April issue of the American Psychological Association, the APA's Journal of Personality and Social Psychology. Furthermore, violent video games may be more harmful than violent television and movies because they are interactive, very engrossing, and require the player to identify with the aggressor, say the researchers. Quote, one study reveals that young men who are habitually aggressive may be especially vulnerable to the aggression-enhancing effects of the repeated exposure to violent games, said psychologists Craig Anderson and Karen Dill. The other study reveals that even a brief exposure to violent video games can temporarily increase aggressive behavior in all types of participants. Okay. What's interesting about this first one here is, again, they're talking about a small fraction, who knows how small of a percentage of the population, because this isn't everyone. They're saying young men who are habitually aggressive, who are already habitually aggressive, may be especially vulnerable to the aggression-enhancing effects of the games. But then they say, well, and then we also have a second one that says it can temporarily increase aggressive behavior in all types of people. The first study involved 227 college students who completed a measure of trait aggressiveness and reported their actual aggressive behaviors delinquency in the recent past. They also reported their video game playing habits. Quote, we found that students who reported playing more violent video games in junior and high school engaged in more aggressive behavior, said lead author Anderson of Iowa State University. We also found that amount of time spent playing video games in the past was associated with lower academic grades in college. Well, okay, but there's a couple of things happening here. I don't know if this sticks out to you, but here's one thing. It says that students who reported playing more violent video games in junior high school engaged in more aggressive behavior. But is it the chicken or the egg? Is it that the aggressive students play more violent video games, or the violent video games are causing them to be aggressive? I mean, I don't.
Right.
From that sentence alone, I don't know anything really. And then this one, we found the amount of time spent playing video games in the past was associated with lower academic grades. Yeah, I don't doubt it because they're wasting time playing games like that. It could also be, the amount of time spent talking on the phone to girlfriends or, if you're not doing your schoolwork. So, okay. In the second study, 210 college students played either a violent Wolfenstein 3D or non-violent video game. Missed. A short time later, the students who played the violent video game punished an opponent received a noise blast with varying intensity for a longer period of time than did the students who had played the non-violent video game. Okay, that's the first interesting thing I've read. That's kind of interesting. Violent video games provide a forum for learning and practicing aggressive solutions to conflict situations, said D. Anderson. In the short run, playing a violent video game appears to affect aggression by priming aggressive thoughts. Longer-term effects are likely to be longer lasting as well, as the player learns and practices new aggression-related scripts that can become more and more accessible for use when real-life conflict situations arise. One major concern is the active nature of the learning environment of the video game, say the authors. This medium is potentially more dangerous than exposure to violent television and movies, which are known to have substantial effects on aggression and violence.
I think that's in the article, but I think they're talking about how people are participating in the games, how being involved with that is having a disproportionate effect versus just watching someone commit an act of violence in a movie or TV.
Right.
Yeah.
Are we going to read the rebuttal?
Yes, the Association for Psychological Science article bring this up, and this is another association of psychologists that's saying that this is all bunk, and we're going to see what they say.
So this headline is violent video games and aggression. The connection is dubious at best. And this is from 2020. This is much more recent. This is 20 years after that other piece. Summary: if you're worried about violent video games triggering aggressive behavior in children, new research may help to alleviate your concerns. The coronavirus pandemic put a damper on many traditional summertime activities for kids, like trips to the pool and youth camps. This gave more opportunity for children to socialize with friends virtually through online gaming, but many hours of extra screen time may have worried parents, especially in light of a highly publicized 2015 report by the APA linking violent video games with aggressive behavior in children. However, a recent reanalysis of these findings, published in the Journal of Perspectives on Psychological Science, came to a very different conclusion, finding no clear link between video game violence and aggression in children. Both the 2015 and the 2020 studies were meta-analyses, statistical methods of finding significant patterns in a large group of independent studies. Quote, our new meta-analysis found that the evidence base was not sufficient to make the conclusions outlined in the 2015 report. We found that violent video games do not appear to be linked to aggression. Let me just scroll down and see why it is they say. They just say that, quote, studies are well designed, such as those using standardized and well-validated aggression measures, almost never find evidence for negative violent effects. Our new meta-analysis also illustrates the need to focus on well-designed studies when researching the impact of violent media. Games are now more important than ever for socialization, feeling autonomy and control during an uncertain time, and just de-stressing. I don't know if I would say games are more important than ever during that's a little suspicious. However, it looks like they're just saying that they re-examined the old data and they found that the studies were not well designed.
Well, and by the way, this webpage, this article has a link to a bunch of other studies that have shown that there's no link between violence and video games. But I want to go back to APA and show the original article that you showed is from I think the second link. So it's from 2003, so it's not really a rebuttal of this most recent article from the Association for Psychological Science, but there is a section in there that criticizes or says that the people criticizing their methodology are wrong. And so if you scroll down to the section where it says myth, It's a little further down on the webpage.
Myths
There we
and
go.
facts.
Yeah. So these first 2 myths, if you could read those, please.
Myth 1, violent video game research has yielded very mixed results. Facts. Some studies have yielded non-significant video game effects, just as some smoking studies failed to find a significant link to lung cancer. But when one combines all of the relevant empirical studies using meta-analytic techniques, 5 separate effects emerge with considerable consistency. Violent video games are significantly associated with increased aggressive behavior, thoughts, and affect, increased physiological arousal, and decreased prosocial or helping behavior. Average effect sizes for experimental studies, which help establish causality, and correlational studies, which allow examination of serious violent behavior, appear comparable. Myth 2: the studies that find significant effects are the weakest methodology. Fact: methodologically stronger studies have yielded the largest effects. Thus, earlier effect size estimates based on all video game studies probably underestimate the actual effect sizes. Okay, and then they say that it's also a myth that laboratory experiments are irrelevant. And they go on to say, fact, arguments against laboratory experiments in behavioral sciences have been successfully debunked many times. This just seems like a lot of, you can say whatever you want to say. I'm going to have to actually go and read all the studies now.
Yeah,
Thanks
I'm
a lot.
fascinated to read it. Yeah, I know.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Chris.
Go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, and I just looked at that one, this abstract. It looks like you have to pay. I have to pay to get
No.
the whole study?
There's
No.
gotta be another way to get it. There's
I
another
should-
way. There's always another
I'll
way.
just pay.
But I could see how maybe it does increase aggression for some, but that's a far cry from murder, going out and murdering someone. I mean,
It is. It is a far cry. I think it probably does. I'll just give you my gut reaction. I think it probably does temporarily, as they say, increase aggression or negative thoughts, perhaps. Because I do know of studies, I was just talking about this in an interview today. Neuroscientists have said, what you think about has measurable effects on your mood. So, for example, when people tell you you should write a gratitude list, it's not just because they're cheesy and giving you some cheesy self-help. Science shows that when you sit down, you think about what you're grateful for and you write it down, that your mood increases. So it seems to me that watching prolonged periods of time playing violent video games or watching violent media could have an impact on your mood. Absolutely. I say this as someone who watches a lot of horror films. I watch a lot of true crime, a lot of dark stuff. And I think it probably could have an effect on me. Has it caused me to, like Marshall was saying, to consider engaging in the acts that I see on horror films or in true crime? No. Quite the opposite. It makes me more situationally aware, I think, because I'm aware of the violence that humans can commit and the evil that we are all capable of. So I don't know, I'm kind of rambling now, but anyway, the point being, yeah, I'm sure it does have that impact, but it's not, there's no causation link that I can see where you can say, oh, playing Mortal Kombat is going to cause you to go out and murder. No.
Mhm. No, well, it's like, back to rap. Like if I listen to some aggressive rap or something, and I can get in that mood and want to be a little bit more aggressive, but again, I don't want to go out and like murder somebody or shoot someone. And same thing like superhero stuff. Like I can watch, superhero movie like Batman, and coming out of theater watching that makes me want to go out and dress up as Batman, fight crime. But again, I don't want to kill anybody.
Right. Right. It's also, again, it's sort of like, as you mentioned before, it's just so similar to the same kind of thing they try to argue about guns. Like, oh, we have to make this illegal because a very small fraction of the population is mentally unstable and they use them to do evil. And I don't believe you limit, that's tyranny. You don't limit the individual rights and freedoms of all people because there are some people who commit evil. There will always be people who commit evil.
What? News to me. I thought people were infinitely malleable, Keri.
If we only get the right system of government, right?
That's the
We
right
only
people
get
in
the
there.
right ideology, right?
Can we
This
do a
is-
poll too on this? I
Oh,
just want
yeah.
to see what people. That'd be great.
Let's do a poll here.
And let's make sure we announce it. I think we sometimes forget to announce it for those people listening after the live cast.
Oh, what the answers are?
Yes.
I haven't done a poll in a while. Let me see if I remember how. Okay, here we go. So what should we ask?
So do they think video games? How should we put it? Should we put it that if video games increase aggression or violence specifically, like
Increase aggression. Well, that's kind of, I don't know how I would answer this one because I think they might temporarily.
what
But
about violence? Just put violence then.
let's do violence. Okay, we've got a poll up. Do you think video games increase violence? Like real world violence? And I'm not
Yeah.
talking about the social justice violence of words. I'm not talking about the social justice, your silence is violence.
Words like violence.
So far we have no winning by 100%.
Yeah, that's the answer.
I don't know. There's no wrong answer here, guys. Maybe it does increase violence, but it doesn't mean that you have to think they should be illegal. If you think it increases violence. Anyway. Did you also bring some funny stuff for tonight?
Yeah, I have a couple of funny things. So this first, a Mario video. It does have some F-bombs in it, so warning, warning, warning. But I thought it was pretty funny.
Okay, guys, we're going to watch something that has some F-bombs in it.
Yeah, we're going to be wild tonight. Yeah.
Here we go.
Ah! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Mario, but our princess is in another.
No!
We've got to get out of here! Stand your ground, brother! Please!
When did Mario become evil?
We need to get out of here. Stop the car. I said get in the fucking car.
Oh, that's so silly.
That's from Dorkly. They got some funny videos.
Okay.
And then I have a Mortal Kombat, and we just watch like a minute or so. It's a pretty long video, but it's pretty funny, I think. So.
Okay, let's see. Thank you for bringing some funny stuff.
Yeah. I hope that's in the new Mario movie.
Finish him. Wait. Before you do that, massage him.
What?
Massage him? The great Shao Kahn, Lord of the Outworld and creator of all that is evil.
Well, yeah, maybe.
I say massage him.
All right, fine.
What?
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's good. Yeah, loosen up those muscles. Oh, you're so tense from the battle. Here, use these scented oils on you.
All right, stop. Okay, listen, I can't do this. All right?
Clean him.
No, I'm not gonna bathe him. Okay, he's fine. He's clean as is. He took a shower before.
Clean him, or you will be destroyed.
Great. All right. This is really not what I thought a fight to the death tournament could be like.
Do as I say, or your soul will be mine.
Always with the soul stealing. Nishi would too.
Oh, now we're talking. Now we're in business, baby. Could you scrub his neck a little and then hold up the sponge so I can smell it?
Gross.
Oh, gross. Okay, I can't do this anymore. This is creeping me out.
Put a wig on him.
Wow, this is getting a little weird. Okay.
Could you fix the bangs a little bit?
Fix the bangs? He's just. Okay, stop moving. Yeah. Is that good?
Oh, much, much better. Oh, don't you look pretty, little lady there?
Okay, I'm gonna stop this one. Is that cool?
Yeah. But it just keeps escalating.
It just gets so. It's getting so creepy.
Massage him.
Massage him. No. Okay.
But the rest of the stuff are tattoo stuff. If you want to look at that.
So
go
go ahead.
No, you.
Okay. So if you're new to the show on Wednesday nights, pop culture, one of the games we play sometimes is there a tattoo of that? So it's time for Is There a Tattoo of That? Video games, Mario Brothers. Let's just see what people have chosen to tattoo on themselves. Oh no. Wow.
Yeah. And it's not a surprise people have a Mario Brothers tattoo, but it's just wild seeing some of the ones people have
Some of them are
chosen.
look at these full sleeves here.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of these full sleeve Marios. Wario with Toad.
They're pretty good too. All these tattoos, most of them.
These are a lot better than the tattoos we saw of Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. Which some people got that tattoo.
Yep.
Wow. What if you get older and you stop liking Mario?
Turn to Wario.
Player 1, player 2. That's kind of cute. Wow.
Disappointed I don't see any Mario tattoos from the 90s Mario Brothers movie.
Oh,
That
really?
would be awesome. Yeah.
No.
Hoskins, John Leguizamo.
John Leguizamo. I would be horribly shocked if someone got that tattooed on them.
And by the way, I don't know if you remember, like a few months ago, he was complaining that there wasn't enough people of color in the new Mario Brothers movie that came out today.
He was.
And I was like, you're just upset that no one offered you a job on this
No
new
one
Mario
hired you. Oh. Okay.
All right. I got two more. One, Mortal Kombat, which again, not surprised that people have this, but still, there's some pretty crazy ones.
So one of the things I heard about tattoos in our modern day culture is that because we have gotten rid of a lot of rituals and coming of age, like ceremonies and meaningful events and things, unless you're of like if you have a quinceañera or whatever, like that's a little different. Or if you have a in the Jewish culture, what do they call it? The bar mitzvah, something like that. But in American culture at large, there aren't a lot of these sort of rituals. So I heard that people maybe get tattoos around the age of 18 because it's like, oh, you're passing into adulthood. But I just think if you're gonna get a tattoo and to mark moving into adulthood, like maybe a video game, a game. Like, what are you getting to mark your adulthood phase? Mario. Cool.
Well, it's weird. We've you know, for the longest time, we've had like older people who've had tattoos of like World War II generation that served in the military and stuff. But now, like when this generation gets old, there's gonna be all these old people with tattoos of Mario and Will Smith slapping Chris Rock and
Yeah.
Golden Girls. It's just like it's
Crazy,
gonna
yeah.
be weird.
Golden Girls. Look, Fatality. That's an old school one. Wow. Look at this artwork.
None of them are black.
Look at this. I mean, this much You love a game this much, though? It's like the Avatar tattoo guy.
Look at
at
that
this
back
bag.
one. Look at the back one. I wonder if he's gay.
Ew! Massage him.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to tell you
Oh,
something.
there's a black guy.
Where?
I found one. I found one.
You found a black guy? There he is.
There he is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And see, he can only get the black tattoos. Like, I never considered it a tattoo, but if I did, I don't know what I get, because in my opinion, tattoos on blacks don't look that good, because you can't get a wide range of colors. You just have to get the black tattoos.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. I'm going to stop scrolling on this one.
And then
And
one
what's the
more.
last one? What?
Yep. There's only one tattoo somebody has, but it's
Are you for real?
it's glorious.
So that game, guys, that game from the 90s, the Sega game, Night Trap, that nobody played, but there was a congressional hearing on it. Somebody got a Night Trap tattoo. What?
Yeah. It looks like this guy has a YouTube video. It says, I got a night trap
I
tattoo.
got a Night Trap tattoo. That's probably his claim to fame.
Yep.
Okay, dude. I got a Joe Lieberman tattoo.
What happens when he's like, talking to a woman or something and just looking at his arms? It's like, what is night trap?
Yeah, what
Like,
is this?
would that be like a red flag when you have something called night trap on your arm?
He
do you wanna,
probably
like,
thinks it's like a
reenact
good
this?
conversation piece, you know?
Yeah. I guess.
I was just curious because we have seen a Hillary Clinton tattoo on that guy, that crazy
Yes.
guy from SNL. What's his name? Pete Davidson.
Pete Davidson.
He has a Hillary Clinton tattoo. So weird. I was just looking to see if anybody has a Joe Lieberman tattoo. I don't see it.
Oh, Joe Lieberman's sad. You always remind me of Droopy Dog.
Oh
I
man.
don't like this. No.
I was just thinking, what kind of politician would people get tattooed on themselves? And yep,
Obama?
probably, but look who I looked up. Trump.
Oh, yeah. That's a horrible one.
This
Who's
one on the
that first
left,
one supposed to be?
it looks like Biff from Back to
Maybe
the
it was a
Future.
Biff one and they changed to Trump.
Trump. Look at the Trump stamp here on the back where the tramp stamp goes.
Do you think anybody who hates Trump got a Trump tattoo?
Probably. Wait.
Because look
this
at that
guy
one
has-
on the bottom one.
Wait,
That
this
looks like
here-
it's making fun of him.
Yeah, this here on the far right, though, I was wrong. That's not a tramp stamp. That's on a guy's neck. On the front of his neck.
Trump stamp.
Trump stamp. Yeah.
Like, is that
this one
making
looks-
fun of him?
Yeah, that looks terrible.
And it's on CNN, but like,
Lose election bet, get a Trump tattoo. A Bernie Sanders supporter in Iowa made his lower back great again with a tattoo of Donald Trump's face after losing a bet following the presidential election.
why would
Quote, I'm thinking about my life, how it went wrong, and now I'm getting a Trump stamp.
you got that right?
Okay. Yeah. This is just so interesting. Wait, which one's on the screen
Can
right
you
now?
put in Nixon? Let's just see if
Okay.
someone has a Nixon.
at these
Obviously,
MAGA.
Roger Stone has a Nixon one, but
Look at these. Oh, look at all these MAGA ones. Look, look at the one on the left. That
That
one
one-
looks like it's making fun of him.
yeah, I would think. But why would you devote your body
To
to
hating
displaying
someone.
something that you hated?
Yeah, look at these here on the right. Donald Trump protest tattoos. And it says Trump and it's got poop with flies on it.
Why would you do that?
And
That's
this one says
insane.
freedom. And it's Trump with devil horns. Yeah, why would you put that on your body?
Do they
I
think
hate
it's going to
this-
get them laid? They could put this on their Tinder profile.
I don't know. It's so weird. It's like, I hate this person. Here, let me tattoo them to my flesh. Like, why? Why would you do that? Okay, what did
So
you want me to
dumb.
look up?
Nixon. I know Roger Stone already has a Nixon one, but I'm trying to think of what.
Wait,
least
Roger
likely.
Stone has a Nixon tattoo. Did we talk about that before?
You probably talked about someone else, I'm sure,
Yeah. Here we go.
but I'm just curious. There's got to be other people that have Nixon tattoos.
That's Roger
Yeah,
Stone.
that's Roger Stone.
I think it's all Roger Stone.
He's the only person in the entire
No one else
world.
has a.
Is that a tattoo or a mock-up?
That's
What's
not.
that one?
That's a mock-up.
Or the one on the right?
That's not real.
Yeah, no, probably not.
No, that can't be real. I think it's just him.
Yeah.
Oh wait, there's one. With blue hair.
I can't even tell who that is.
Can't tell that it's either. There's one of Satan. Okay.
All right.
That's enough tattoos.
The more you know.
I love the chat. I wasn't looking at the chat during this, but Lettuce says these tattoos are good advertisements for sobriety. Some people got a vaccinated tattoo. Yeah, I saw
Yeah.
that craziness. It's
Yeah.
just insane. You're right. Just as crazy as getting a tattoo of someone you hate. Like
Someone
why?
had a Pfizer tattoo. That's just free advertisement.
Yeah. What is wrong with you? Okay, we're winding down.
What
We're
did our
just playing
poll
around
say,
now.
by the way? What did the poll finish
Oh,
as?
the poll. Do you think that video games increase violence? 6% of people said yes, and 94% said no.
Damn. I thought there would have been more people in the yes category.
I don't know. I'm sorry, I've got a frog in my throat, and I'm coughing a little bit now. Okay, we're winding down. I'm getting sleepy. We've done about 2 hours. We had our fun at the end. I was just going to tell you something that I thought of last night, or my husband and I were talking about last night, and I just started laughing. Maybe it won't be as funny today, but for some reason it was really funny before falling asleep. Remember how I told you that these, I guess, well-meaning, white woke people had told us, or person had told us we can't say master bedroom
Yes.
because it's offensive, and I was like, why? Because and they said, oh, because of slavery, and that we were supposed to say owner's bedroom now, which doesn't make any sense because it's like slave owner, like what?
Yes.
And then we were thinking, like, how come no troll has just like changed it to massa bedroom just to be like, if you want to be offended, we give you something. So we were like, well, what if we started doing all of our home improvement pictures like, and now we're working on the massa closet. You're like,
We get that started. Oh.
right? It's so offensive. So then we really get outraged, people outraged. Okay, that's it. You guys, thanks for hanging out with me and missed you, Chris, tonight. Oh, 2 comments I highlighted. I may as well read. The Drifter67 said, I'd rather play Red Dead Redemption, the Western game. I love that game. I agree. I love that game. And then Kevin Anderson had said, I have a friend that works on major films. She was telling me the same, that producers would team with an advocacy group to condemn the film in order to get controversy and publicity. That makes sense. Anyway. Okay, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. This has been a live episode of Pop Culture on Deprogrammed. If you like what we do, please hit like the video. It helps the algorithm, or leave a comment or share it with someone. And if you want to support us, there's a ton of ways you can do that through local Subscribe Star, Patreon, or here with the YouTube membership. And we will see you guys tomorrow. I have an interview coming out, a Deprogrammed interview coming out the regular time, Thursday at 6 o'clock Central. And then I'll see you on Friday at noon Central with special guests. Okay. Thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye. Take care. Oh, I didn't have the okay.
Oh, I'm gonna go then! And I don't need any of this! I don't need this stuff! And I don't need you! I don't need